Barakateh Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rucha Kudash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is a long one. It says the Centurion, the servant, the woman at the well, and the Syrophoenician woman were all Israelites, including her daughter. And pretty much this is a response video to all of the response videos that have been made towards Elder Apostle Tahar's question dealing with these individuals in the scriptures, you know, that he asked were they Israelites or not. I know that the Elder Karatazar from Vegas did a video which I was watching yesterday, and I finished watching it later on. Elder Yashawamba had did a video, but I didn't really get a chance to watch it at first, but I ended up watching it. Very good videos. And Elder Apostle Gabar did a video where he mentioned both of those videos, and it's funny because I wanted to watch both of them. One of them I had watched part of it, and then after I finished watching Elder Apostle Gabar's video, I finished watching I watched Elder Yashawamba's video, and then I finished watching the Elder Karatazar's video. Very good videos, very informative, and you get into it, you know, because, you know, you go into the history, you go into the scriptures, and, you know, you break it down. Now, what you see before you is just something I found, a picture I found online. The gospel is the good news of God's grace, which we know the Most High's name is Yahweh, but, you know, you're not going to find too much of that out there unless it's done by a Hebrew Israelite. Now, I want to get into the word gospel first and then take it from there. Hopefully it'll be an edifying lesson. I got three points to make in here, you know, or three separate, the same topic, but three separate subjects, I guess you could say. But let's deal with this word gospel first. All right. Old English, God spell, which should have really been good spell, but they, you know, did it this way because when you break the word God spell or good spell or gospel, it means good story, you know, or good message. All right. Glad tidings announced by Yahushai, one of the four gospels, literally good spell. See, which the word spell, there's different definitions for it. You know, you spell as far as writing out each letter, spell as far as casting a spell on somebody, and in this case, spell is a story or a message. From God, good, see good, spell, story, message. Excuse me. A translation of Latin bona annunciatio, which is good announcement, like an good announcement, which is what this means. Itself a translation of Greek euangelion, which means good news or good message. Reward for bringing good news. See, evangelist is a traveling, pretty much like a traveling teacher. The first element of the Old English word originally had a long O, but it shifted under mistaken association with God, as if God's story, an example, the history of Yahushai, which is good because it says that the mistake was very natural, as the resulting sense was much more obviously appropriate than that of good tidings, for a word which was chiefly known as the name of a sacred book or a portion of the liturgy, because pretty much the word means the Most High's grace, you know, as Elder Pastor uses the term loosely translated, because it's the story or the message that the Heavenly Father gave through his son Yahushai of grace that was given to Israel to get back into the good graces of the Heavenly Father Yahweh. That's pretty much what it is. So these individuals, you know, that we're dealing with, some of them, so you know what, I'm sorry, because I made a mistake on the title, so please forgive me for that. They were not all Israelites. The woman at the well was not an Israelite. I have to change this, you know, because I was just, you know, thinking of the Centurion, the servant, and the Syrophoenician woman and her daughter. So I have to change this last part and erase the last part. So please forgive me for that. It was an oversight on my behalf. I wish I could change it now, but if I change it now, I think it'll probably mess up the feed. So the Israelite, Satan, the woman at the well was not an Israelite. So please forgive me for that mistake. Please forgive me for that mistake. Like I said, I wish I could change it right now. I was so, into trying to get the lesson going that it kind of, it was an overlook on my behalf. So please forgive me once again. I feel like shit right now. Pretty much, I honestly want to stop the lesson and just go back and restart it all over again. Let me see something. Just bear with me 1 second. Let's see what happens now. Okay, that's much better. Now I feel better. The centurion, the servant, the woman at the well, and the Syrophoenician woman. All right. Now, let's go. Yeah, that's what I did, brother. I changed it in the YouTube studio. I was able to do it while it's still going. So, Barakateh, how about Shemal Shai for that? So, that's the gospel, the good news. So, let's get into it. Let's go to Matthew chapter 8. Like I said, the brothers already broke it down. I just want to make a couple of points and come at it from a little bit of a different perspective, but let's just get into it. Yeah, so right now it's saying that it still has we're all Israelites, but I changed it already. So Lord's will, once it refreshes and everything, like the elder said. Okay, cool. The brother said he just refresh it and change. All right, Duwada. And Salakia for that, like I said, I feel like shit, but, Salakia, it wasn't done on purpose. Matthew 8:7, and Yahushua saith unto him, I will come and heal him. Now, this is Yahushua speaking to the centurion. You can read from the first verse down, actually from the 5th verse. Matter of fact, I might as well just read it. And when Yahushua was entered into Capernaum, there came unto him a centurion beseeching him and saying, Lord, my servant lieth at home sick of the palsy, grievously tormented. And Yahushua saith unto him, I will come and heal him. And see, the key point here to take away from here is the word heal him. All right. Now, it doesn't say that, as Elder Apostle Tahar pointed out, it doesn't say that the centurion was an Israelite. But he was an Israelite just based off of the things that he said and the fact that he believed. Okay? And as you heard Elder Apostle Gabar bring out in his lesson and other lessons that we brought out, that the Edomites do not believe in the Most High. The Most High is not in all their thoughts. So how could this man be an Edomite? And what is this obsession with the Edomites? You know what I mean? These same guys believe that the Edomites are going to be destroyed. So what is their obsession in giving Edomites all this credit? They giving them too much credit. Inside joke. It said, the centurion answered and said, Lord, I am not worthy that thou shouldest come under my roof, but speak the word only, and my servant shall be healed. So keep in mind the word healed. Yahushua said, I will come and heal him. And the centurion said, Lord, you don't need to come under my roof, but just speak the word, and he will be healed. Keep that in mind, the word. For I am a man under authority, having soldiers under me, and I say unto this man, go, and he goeth, and to another, come, and he cometh, and to my servant, do this, and he doeth it. Now, I believe it was Elder Yashawanba that brought out the point, which was excellent point in the spirit, that he understood that Yahushua was the Messiah, and he had power and authority to tell people to come and go, just like Yahushua had power and authority. He believed that power and authority, so he just said, just say the word, and it'll come to pass, which was heavy in itself. Now, I'm sorry, man. You know what? I'm just all over the place. Let me read this again, the 8th verse. The centurion answered and said, Lord, I am not worthy that thou shouldest come under my roof, but speak the word only, for my servant and my servant shall be healed. All right, so let's deal with that. Let's go real quick to Matthew chapter 10, right? And this alone proves that the servant was an Israelite. Matthew 10 and 5. These 12 Yahushua sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not. So this message was not for any nations, especially not for the Edomites. So I don't know what this big obsession is with the Edomites. Everybody is an Edomite. It's like, it's crazy. There's so-called Christians, pushing for the Edomites, even cats that call themselves Israelites and know that they're Israelites pushing for the Edomites. I don't get it. Somebody might have to start doing a series called The Bag Chronicles. It says, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. That's the point. Go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. To the Israelites only, not the Gentiles, not the Samaritans, just the Israelites. And he goes on to say, and as you go, preach, saying the kingdom of heaven is at hand, because that is the good news. To who? To the Israelites. Heal the sick. Among who? The Israelites. So when Yahushua said, I will heal him, and the centurion said that he wasn't worthy that Yahushua should come under his roof, only speak the word, and my servant shall be healed. Because this message and this healing is only for the Israelites. So it says, heal the sick, cleanse the leper, raise the dead, cast out devils, freely you have received, freely give. Right, because this knowledge, Yahushua, who is the word, that is the healing ointment, the healing balm that the Lord gave for the nation of Israel to be healed. Psalms 107 and 20, he sent his word and healed them and delivered them from their destructions, dealing with back, during the time of the Egyptians, but for all time, for all time. Beautiful. That's a good precept the brother just put up. Psalms 119 and 154, plead my cause and deliver me, quicken me according to thy word. Salvation is far from the wicked, for they seek not thy statutes. Yep, they seek not thy statutes. Great are thy tender mercies, O Lord. Quicken me according to thy judgments. Yeah, so the nations don't seek the statutes of the Lord. Why? Because they were never given to them. All right, so now let's go back to Matthew 8, right? And let me read it again. The centurion answered and said, Lord, I am not worthy that thou shouldest come under my roof, but speak the word only, and my servant shall be healed. Right? So the first point is the servant is an Israelite, because the healing power is only for the Israelites. For I am a man under authority, having so... you know what? Let's go real quick to Ezekiel 34. So like, for some reason, I got a little scatterbrain going on this Morgan. Ezekiel 34 and 11. The restoration of what? Israel. Going back to the servant of the centurion, which the scriptures say that the healing power is only for the nation of Israel. We just read it. Oh no, that don't mean that. Then what the fuck does it mean? You always got an expert clown out there and telling you what it don't mean, but he can't tell you what it means. It says, for thus saith the Lord of power, behold, I, even I, will both search my sheep and seek them out, the lost sheep of the house of Israel. As a shepherd seeketh out his flock in the day that he is among his sheep that are scattered. So will I seek out my sheep, which are who? The Israelites, the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And I will deliver them out of all places where they have been scattered in the cloudy and dark day, right? When the salvation comes. Now let's jump to the 16th verse. I will seek that which was lost. And that was the purpose of Yahushua coming on the scene. To seek that which was lost. And the ones that were lost, that were a part of the elect, were the ones that he was looking for. And bring again that which was driven away. And will bind up that which was broken. And will strengthen that which was sick. It says, but I will destroy the fat and the strong. I will feed them with judgment. Yeah, that's dealing with these poverty pimps in the church. And as for you, and among the ones that know that they're Israelites. And as for you, where the hoes at? And as for you, O my flock, thus saith the Lord power, behold, I judge between cattle and cattle, between rams and he-goats. Now let's jump down to the 30th verse. It says, thus shall they know that I, the Lord, their power, am with them, and that they, even the house of Israel, are my people, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So what did it say in the 16th verse? I will seek that which was lost. I will bring again that which was driven away, and I will bind up that which was broken, and I will strengthen that which was sick. Who is this for? The Israelites, the house of Israel. So the centurion, his servant, was definitely an Israelite. All right. So the centurion goes on to say, for I am a man under authority, having soldiers under me, and I say to this man, go, and he goeth, and to that, and to another, come, and he cometh, and to my servant, do this, and he doeth it. When Yahushua heard it, he marveled and said to them that followed, verily I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel, meaning in that land. Because obviously the man did not live there. He just happened to work for the Romans. He was a Israelite that was a Roman soldier that didn't live in those parts. So he would be like an Israelite foreigner to those parts, right? Let's go on. It says, and I say unto you that many shall come from the east and west, and shall sit down with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven, right? It says, but the children of the kingdom shall be cast out into utter darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So who were the children of the kingdom? Those are those ones that were in charge at the time. Those wicked Pharisees and Sadducees, the unbelievers. They were going to be cast out because there many people shall come, right? It doesn't say people, but that many shall come from the east and west. Why? Because the Israelites were scattered, and shall sit down with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. Now, when we go to Isaiah 61, right? In the book of Isaiah 61 and 8, it says, for I, the Lord, love judgment. I hate robbery for burnt offering. And I will direct their work in truth, meaning the Israelites' work in truth. And I will make an everlasting covenant with them, because the covenants were only given to Israel. And their seed shall be known among the Gentiles. Why? Because Israel is scattered among the Gentiles, the actual nations. And their offspring among the people. All that see them shall acknowledge them, that they are the seed which the Lord hath blessed. So this here is saying that the ones that were cast out, the Israelites that were cast out, were going to come from all these different places and sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And the ones that were in charge, because the word was supposed to be spoken first to the Jews, shall be cast out. Those leaders, those wicked leaders, the chief priests, the high priests, the wicked Pharisees, and all of them, the rest of the lawyers, scribes, the ones that were wicked, they're going to be cast out. That's what this is talking about, because they were in charge of the helm, so to speak. But they faltered, right? So going on in Matthew 8 and 13, right? It says, and Yahushua saith unto the centurion, go thy way, and as thou hast what? Believed, so be it done unto thee. And his servant was healed in the self same hour. So both this man, the centurion, and his and his servant were both Israelites. Now let's go from there to the book of Acts, chapter 11. Acts chapter 11, and we're going to just jump down to the 11th verse. And this is the vision that Peter, because the Jews in Jerusalem were cursing him out for going to eat with the Gentiles, Israelite foreigners. And he was explaining to them the dream, the trance he was in, the men that came to him, and he was explaining the whole thing to them. So when we get to the 11th verse, it says, and if these Christians would actually read, they will say, you know what? Nah, this doesn't say that you can eat unlawful meats. It only means that Cornelius and those people that were with him were Israelites, but they were in an unclean state. But hey, be it as it may. Acts 11:11. And behold, immediately there were 3 men already come unto the house where I was, sent from Caesarea unto me, right, which Cornelius sent them, which he was a centurion. And the Spirit bade me go with them, nothing doubting. Moreover, these 6 brethren accompanied me, and we entered into the man's house. And he showed us how he had seen an angel in his house. First of all, and these guys, Deacon Hakar, I didn't see the video. Elder Pastor mentioned that I believe he said he was an Edomite, which they used to teach that Cornelius was an Edomite at one time. It said, and he showed us how he had seen an angel in his house, which stood and said unto him, Send men to Joppa and call for Simon, whose surname is Peter. It says, who shall tell thee words whereby thou and all thy house shall be saved. And as I began to speak, the Holy Spirit fell on them, as on us at the beginning, going back to Pentecost, right? The Feast of First Fruits. Then remembered I the word of the Lord, how that he said, John indeed baptized with water, but you shall be baptized with the Holy Spirit, right? For as much then as the Most High gave them the like gift as he did unto us. Why? Because they were Israelites that were lost, the lost sheep of the house of Israel, who believed on the Lord Yahushua HaMashiach. What was I that I could withstand the Most High? So they believed in the Most High. We know that Cornelius and his family and them were all Israelites. These men know that. They believed that. So the centurion, when he came to Yahushua, he believed that Yahushua was the Messiah. And Yahushua said unto the centurion, go thy way, and as thou hast believed, so be it done unto thee. And his servant was healed in the self same hour. So both the centurion and the servant were both Israelites. The heathens, the Edomites, do not believe in the Most High. They do not have that connection. They are not that pious. Yep, that's right. The whole purpose of Yahushua was to redeem the chosen seed, right? And, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua brought a thumb to, if there's any apostles, bishops, elders, and, different brothers watching that are sincere, and shalom to the sincere few sisters that still follow us, which you're not following us, you're following Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. So, subject number 1, the centurion and his servant were both Israelites. Now we shift into the woman at the well. I'm sorry, not the woman at the well, the Syrophoenician woman. All right. And the only reason why she was called a Syrophoenician was because she was living in that land of Syria, Phoenicia, because that land belonged to the Canaanites. In that region there belonged to the Canaanites. Some of it belonged to the Syrians, so on and so forth. So let's go to it. Let's make a couple of points here, and then we'll move on to the next one. So this is the book of Matthew 15 and 21. Here you see the Syrophoenician woman. Then Yahushua went thence and departed into the coast of Tyre and Sidon, which you had a whole lot of Israelites in those regions, living in those regions. You see? And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast. It didn't say that she was a Canaanite woman. It says that a woman of Canaan. All right? This woman came of Canaan. Now, when we go to the book of Mark, right, the 7th chapter, because look, she was an Edomite. Matthew 7 and 24, and from thence he arose and went into the borders of Tyre and Sidon, and entered into an house, and would have no man know it. But he could not be hid, for a certain woman whose young daughter had an unclean spirit heard of him, and came and fell at his feet. The woman was a Greek. See, she was a Greek. She was not an Israelite. She was a Greek, a Syrophoenician by nation, because she was living in that area. So she had that citizenship. Just like the Apostle Paul said, I am a Roman. Was he an actual Roman? No, he had Roman citizenship. So that was a point there. So it says, and behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coasts, and cried unto him, saying, have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. So she acknowledged that he was the Messiah, the son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with the devil. But he answered her not a word, right? It says, and his disciples came and besought him, saying, send her away, for she crieth after us, right? Because at this time, remember, just like when we deal with Cornelius even told Peter, the Apostle Peter, you being a Jew, the Apostle Peter told him, you know that it is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to come to one of another nation or of another tribe, because at that time, the Israelites that fell away were considered uncircumcised heathens, unclean. You can't come around them, lest you be defiled with their bullshit. And you have to understand that history in order to understand these scriptures. It says, but he answered and said, I am not sent, but what? Unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Because at that time, she wasn't in that fray. Because she was a foreigner. She was strange. She was a degenerate vine of a strange plant. And so was her daughter, because she was brought up under those Greek customs. And she was looked at as such. Just like when Matthias and Judas Maccabees and them would look at those other Israelites that were uncircumcised, that were doing those abominable things, they were looking at them with disdain and disgust because they were foreign. They were strange now. They had strange flesh, so to speak. Then came she and worshipped him, saying, Lord, help me. But he answered and said, it is not meet to take the children's bread and cast it to dogs. Now, why did he say it's not meet to take the children's bread and cast it to dogs? Let's go from there to Ephesians. We're going to start at the 2 and 11, but the point is in the 12th verse. It says, wherefore remember that you, being in time past Gentiles in the flesh, or Israelite foreigners, you were born that way. You came and followed those same customs. So you were brought up in that same fashion, as these heathens. It says, who are called uncircumcision, right? Which were the Israelite foreigners, by that which is called the circumcision in the flesh made by hands, which were the Jews that knew they were Jews in Jerusalem. And this is why the Lord said that at that time you were without Yahushai. So that's how you became uncircumcised. You were without Yahushua. You didn't have access to the Heavenly Father. You didn't have access to grace. You didn't have access to an atonement. Being aliens from what? The commonwealth of Israel. So the commonwealth of Israel only belongs to the Israelites. But you had those that were foreign to it. You had those that were sojourners that came from other lands, that were strangers in the land, because they were there only for a short period of time, even though they were Israelites. But then you had those that fell away totally and were following the customs of the nations where they were at. So they assimilated into heathen life, so you could understand. So at that time, they were without Yahushai, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel. That's why Yahushai told the woman that. But he answered, it is not meet to take the children's bread and to cast it to dogs, right? It says, Ephesians 2:12, that at that time you were without Yahushai, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel and strangers from the covenants of promise. And the covenants of promise were only given to the Israelites, having no hope and without the Most High in the world. So you were out there shit out of luck until Yahushai came back and redeemed you. And this is why you had the Apostle Peter first coming to Cornelius. Then you had the Apostle Paul going to the rest of the Israelite foreigners, trying to pretty much gathering the elect from among them. Because he even said, I suffer all things for the elect's sake. So he knew that all Israel wasn't going to come back to the Father at this time. So going back here, Matthew 15:26, but he answered and said, it is not meet to take the children's bread and to cast it to dogs. Why? Because at that time she was without Yahushua. At that time she was outside of the graces of the children of Israel, because she was an Israelite foreigner, brought up under the customs of the Syrophoenicians or the Canaanites and all of that. So she was unclean, but she had to be cleaned up. So then she said, truth, Lord, yet the dogs eat of the crumbs which fall from the master's table. Right. So now she's coming in the right spirit, because she what? Repented. So she's not a heathen. This word is not for the heathens. This knowledge is not for the heathens. The healing power of the gospel is not for the heathens. So it is impossible for this woman to be an Edomite or of another nation. Then Yahushua answered and said unto her, O woman, great is thy faith. See? And this faith, like he told up man, the centurion, he hadn't found in Israel. Meaning the ones that lived in that land, that were citizens, not citizens, that were actually born there. They lacked faith as to the ones that were not born in the land, that were Israelites, but they were foreigners. They had faith. It says, be it unto thee even as thou wilt. And her daughter was made what? Whole from that very hour. Must we go back to Matthew 10 and 8. It says, heal the sick. Among who? The Israelites. Her daughter was an Israelite and she was an Israelite. She believed in the Lord, just like the centurion believed. The centurion's servant was healed, just like the woman's daughter was healed. So all four of these individuals were Israelites, because this message is only to the house of Israel, the law, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Now, dealing with the Syrophoenician part, the woman was a Greek. Let's go real quick to the book of Acts, chapter 2. Very simple. And 5. It says, and there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven. So you had Israelites coming from all different parts and different walks of life. And as you read down, it gives you all of the different areas where these Israelites were coming from. Parthians and Medes and Elamites and dwellers in Mesopotamia and in Judea, Cappadocia and Pontus and Asia. So they were coming from all parts and all walks of life. But these were Jews that knew that they were Jews, just speaking different languages. But you had, even in those areas where they were coming from, you had Israelites that lost their way, that were considered uncircumcised, that were considered outside of the graces of the Lord. Those are the ones that the Lord was bringing back. And that's what the book of Romans, the 11th chapter, is all about. All right. Now, the last subject is the book of St. John, which is very easy to show how this woman was not an Israelite, because none of the things that happened to the centurion that believed, to his servant that was healed, to the woman that believed, to her daughter that was healed, that didn't happen to her. That didn't happen to this woman at the well, because she was not an Israelite. She was scattered among the Israelites. The Israelites were scattered among her, but she was not an Israelite herself. And it takes place in the conversation that Yahushua was having with her. When we read the 19th verse, it says, the woman saith unto him, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet. Our fathers worshipped in this mountain, and you say that in Jerusalem is the place where we ought to worship. Yahushua said unto her, Woman, believe me, the hour cometh when you shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father. You worship you know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. So obviously this woman was not an Israelite. But he told her to get her husband. Why? Because you had, when you read the history, you had a lot of Israelites from them different places that were being accused of breaking the law by the Pharisees, Sadducees, and whoever it was, that fled into the land of Samaria among these heathens, because they also were worshiping to a certain degree that what was taught to them by that one Levite priest, going back to when Shalmaneser removed us out of that land and put these heathens in there. So there was a form of that worship there, and that's why they fled there for refuge, because they were accepted there. But the majority of those people were Edomites. Got Edom on the brain. They were heathens, but you had a lot of Israelites among them also that were considered to be apostate Jews. All right, you can look that term up. And there's some history in the Josephus that goes into it. Now, when we go to the book of Sirach, I got three different citations. This one is the KJV, and it'll make sense once we read it. This is Sirach chapter 50, or Ecclesiastes 50 and 25. There be two manner of nations which my heart abhorreth, and the third is no nation. They that sit upon the mountain of Samaria, which we're going to get this. This is not talking about what we're reading now. This is going into the Edomites, and we'll show you that. And they that dwell among the Philistines. Yeah, you have the Philistines, those demons, and that foolish people that dwell in what? Sychem. And Sychem was where the Samaritans were worshiping. That's one of the places where this devil Shalmaneser brought those heathens to. Now, when we go to that's the KJV. When we go to the GNT, the Good News Translation, it says, there are two nations that I detest, and the third does not even deserve to be called a nation. These are the Edomites, the inhabitants of the Philistine cities, and the stupid Samaritans, which were who? Those Israelites that assimilated into the Samaritan ways. Among those Hamites and different nations that were brought into that land. When you go to the book of 2 Kings 17, it gives you a list of the nations that were brought up in there. And then this one is from the NRSV translation. It says, two nations my soul detests, and the third is not even a people. Those who live in Seir, Mount Seir, the Edomites, and the Philistines, and the foolish people that live in Sechem, right? Which were what? Those Israelites that fled into the region and into this region to seek refuge. So they were looked at with disdain, and there was a lot of that going on. This is why the wicked Pharisees in them, right? Let me see. Said this to Yahushai. St. John 8:48. Then answered the Jews and said unto him, say we not well that thou art a Samaritan and hast a devil? Why? Because you had a lot of Israelites that fled into Samaria and that knew that they were Jews. They were considered apostates. So this was meant as an insult against Yahushai, because they were comparing them to those people that lived there. And funny, because Yahushai actually went to them and told a woman to go get your husband, because he obviously was an Israelite. And some of the men that were there that Yahushai taught, those were also Israelites. But this woman was not. All right. So pretty much that's what I wanted to go into through the Spirit. The centurion, the servant, the woman at the well, and the Syrophoenician woman. All right. The centurion, the servant, the Syrophoenician woman, and her daughter were Israelites. The woman at the well was not. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. To the next time I say, Shalom.